As we all know, F1 is based on thousands upon thousands of rules. Some are good, some are, well, mweh. And because of this, and to increase competitiveness, F1 and the FIA are changing a lot of rules. And not just for the 2026 car design, but also beyond and before. Some of these will certainly make fans happy and will fill you in on what's to come for F1. First up, F1 is ready to consider different engines from 2030 in a push for more noise. With F1 executives and the FIA set to finalise the 2026 chassis and power unit regulations in the coming weeks, focus has already switched to the following rules period. And in what might be a significant shift in F1 after more than 15 years of turbo hybrid engines, Dominic Harley has suggested that one alternative is to abandon the existing model entirely. That prospect arises as part of a renewed push to make F1 engines louder, going back to the roots of the engine noise. Since the turbo hybrid's introduction in 2014, there have been concerns about their lack of noise compared to the original V8 engines. And while they have become louder, and there were expectations for a significant improvement in 2026, it is evident that they are still not at the level that F1 requires. Instead, F1 might consider a variety of solutions, including new technology and even old-school V8s, to find a solution that meets the demands of Grand Prix racing. Dominic Harley spoke ahead of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, expressing his wish for F1 to return to engine noise. And he went on to say that if F1's transition to 100% sustainable fuels by 2026 is successful, forsaking hybrids in favour of a new approach may be something to consider. As soon as the 2026 regulations are defined, we will start to think about what the next steps will be, such as the 2030 engine, Dominic Harley stated. It is a personal consideration of mine, not yet shared with the teams, even if we have spoken about it with the FIA, that if sustainable fuels work, we will need to carefully evaluate whether to continue with hybrid technology or whether better solutions will be available. While Dominic Harley did not provide any specifics regarding the other choices, there have been many claims in previous years that if F1 is successful in using entirely sustainable fuel, the environmental argument against having the popular V8s will be removed. A shift in that direction would also assist to reduce car weight, which has been increasingly important in recent years. Last year, world champion Max Verstappen revealed his ideal vision for F1, which includes a switch to V8 engines. "I would definitely get rid of the hybrid," he replied. "I think all the time, when I jump back in a V8, I am always so surprised at how smooth the engine is. The top speed is slow compared to what we have now, but it's just the pickup of the engine, and the torque. It's so smooth, the whole delivery process, the downshift and the upshifts. It's so much more natural to what we have." Dominic Harley also provided an update on the status of the 2026 rules, which he believes will be completed well before the June 30th deadline. In recent weeks, there has been an alignment between the various parties involved, and the publication of the 2026 regulations should take place on the 1st of June, he stated. The FIA will then explain the changes, which are many. And it will be important to clarify as best as possible because I have read a series of interpretations that do not correspond to what the new regulations will be. While the new car guidelines have not yet been set, there are already worries about the constraints put on them by the option of turbo hybrids. Dominic Harley emphasised the importance of noise, while car weight is another consideration. The sore point, but unfortunately necessary at the moment, is related to the weight of the single-seaters, he stated. By keeping the hybrid power unit solution also for 2026, a significant increase in weight is inevitable. If we compare a prediction of the 2026 single-seater with a car from 10 years ago, we can see that weight has become a significant issue. All drivers would like to have lighter cars, and personally, I would also like a slightly larger sound. On this last front, we are working to try to increase the number of decibels. From the research we are carrying out, it emerges that all markets and all age groups want a better sound as well as the energy and vibrations that only a certain type of engine is capable of transmitting when you are close to the track. Are you encouraging F1 to go back to V8s or even V10s in the future? Next to these probable engine changes, we'll be seeing some penalty changes happening real soon. These changes are going to be one of the major subjects this weekend in Imola, following Kevin Magnussen's antics in Miami. Because of his recent behaviour, the FIA intends to impose tougher penalties on Formula One drivers who intentionally cut the track to maintain a place. Magnussen had 3 10-second penalties for leaving the track and gaining an advantage in the Miami race, allowing the Haas driver to keep Mercedes rival Lewis Hamilton behind him. He also earned a 4th penalty, this time a 5-second increase, for leaving the track for no acceptable cause, which added to his penalty point total. While Magnussen damaged his own race, his tactics enabled teammate Nico Hülkenberg to take crucial points, repeating the Dane's defensive strategy in identical circumstances in Saudi Arabia. The Miami stewards chose 10-second penalties to retain continuity with prior rulings, although one of their conclusions suggested that tougher penalties would be a preferable approach in the future. The FIA is eager to begin issuing drive-throughs in such situations, which fixes the problem instantly by forcing the guilty drivers to pit and give up track position within 2 laps. The issue will be examined by the teams, stewards, and the FIA during Friday's team management meeting at Imola's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The rising punishment would be imposed if drivers were found to be purposefully running off track to maintain their position during the same race, as suspected by the stewards. Stewards instructing drivers to give up their positions, which was customary procedure until drivers took up that duty in 2022, is not being considered. Next up, we got rule changes for the points system, as this year has been challenging for Formula 1 teams to score points. With such a well-defined top 5 group of teams, several team principals would like to see more drivers granted points. The idea is that this modification would make the rankings more representative. Of course, this proposal has received much criticism. For starters, modifying the points system based on the dynamics of a single season appears overly reactive. One option has been to award points to the top 12 finishers. Other extreme suggestions have included awarding points to all finishers. Dominic Harley spoke about the rumours around this problem. Regarding the points in the world rankings, there was a request from some teams to increase access to points beyond 10th position. We are carrying out simulations, but as has always happened in the past when the scoring system was modified assigning points, we need to pay close attention to the contraindications. Everyone is happy immediately, then over time the critical issues emerge. But I can say that we won't have a system that awards points to all the drivers at the start. Finally, later this year, we will have a better idea of F1's approach to this subject. As it is, numerous teams are convinced that points should be simpler to obtain. However, there is always the potential that conflicts over minor details hinder actual adjustments. With F1 seemingly experiencing several modifications, this is becoming another contentious subject among fans. And lastly, how could we forget changes for the sprint weekend again? Why, you might ask? Well, that's because Dominic Harley says he would like to see more sprint races in future F1 calendars. F1 currently organises 6 sprint weekends every year on a variety of circuits, with the first sprint of the season taking place last weekend in China and the second the following week at the Miami Grand Prix. Sprints have received mixed responses from drivers and fans, with the added competitive sessions compared to free practices typically increasing interest, while also increasing the workload on team members. A modified schedule for 2024, which allows teams to make car tweaks between sprint races and Grand Prix qualifying, was viewed as a step forward. China's and Miami's thrilling sprints, which had a somewhat different pecking order than the actual Grand Prix, prompted Dominic Harley to imply that there is a rationale for going beyond 6 sprints each year in the future. The qualifying sprint in those incredible conditions, we had a lot of running, and that reminds us that we have the duty to make sure that every day there is some action on the track to respect the fans that are coming here and want to have fun, Dominic Harley said. When asked if this may imply more sprints in the future, he said, "Why not? Why not? I think this is wonderful because it keeps the tension going every day, and this is something that will be explored in the future. Now, let's see how this year with the sprints will go. But that's a point of discussion for sure that I want to discuss in the next F1 Commission. We need to avoid any possibility to have a situation like Japan with cars not running because of weather conditions. This is not good for the people that are coming to see us and see the drivers. I am sure that the teams will understand that we need to find solutions." What are your thoughts on all these changes? Which of these do you like? And are there some you don't like? Let us know in the comments down below.